You think exhaustion is a sign that you should stop, but the truth is the exact opposite. Fatigue is the proof that you are drawing closer to the summit. A runner feels the sharpest pain not at the beginning, but in the final stretch before the finish line. A miner feels the weight of the earth pressing down hardest when he is nearest to the gold. A sailor is tested by the fiercest winds when he is almost at the harbor. Your tiredness is not a signal of defeat, it is the whisper of victory, warning you that the hardest part comes just before the reward. That is why so many quit just moments too soon. They mistake exhaustion for failure, when in fact it is the signpost of triumph. When you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory. But here is the dangerous lie that society has sold you. We are told that success should feel light, effortless, as though the chosen ones glide through life without breaking a sweat. We are told that struggle is proof of inadequacy. We are told that fatigue means we have miscalculated, that true winners move smoothly from one conquest to the next. This is a myth, a cruel deception designed to rob men and women of greatness. The truth is the opposite. Those who reach greatness crawl, bleed, and fight their way across the finish line. The world sees the glory, but they never see the exhaustion behind it. The late nights, the doubts, the days when the body begged to quit but the spirit refused. That is the path of the real victor, and you must engrave it on your mind. Tiredness is not the enemy, surrender is. Let me tell you something that will change how you view your fatigue forever. The human body and mind are not built to give up when they say they are tired. Science has revealed that when you feel you are finished, when your mind screams that you cannot endure another second, you have in truth only used about 40% of your capacity. That means 60% of your strength still waits inside, untapped, hidden beneath the illusion of exhaustion. Think about that the next time you want to stop. The law of the mind is this: the point at which you feel most tired is the doorway to a reserve you never imagined you had. And those who walk through that doorway discover greatness on the other side. Say it with me and write it down. I am stronger than my tiredness. The greatest athletes, inventors, and leaders have all faced the same deceptive wall of exhaustion. Thomas Edison failed 1,000 times, and each time he must have felt the weight of fatigue telling him to stop. Yet he pushed through, and light itself was born from his persistence. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who faced defeat after defeat in politics, who surely felt tired of rejection, yet became one of the greatest presidents the world has ever known. Fatigue is not a reason to quit. Fatigue is proof that you are in the arena, that you are advancing, that you are drawing closer to destiny. Every man or woman who ever achieved something of lasting worth has stood where you stand, exhausted, doubting, tempted to surrender. And every one of them had to make the same choice you must now make: quit or continue. Now I want you to confront the false beliefs that have been planted in your mind since childhood. You have been told to slow down when you are tired, to back away, to rest and retreat. You have been told that comfort is the goal, that peace without effort is the prize. But let me warn you, comfort is not the crown. Comfort is the coffin. Men who worship comfort never find victory, because victory lives beyond fatigue. Write this on a piece of paper and engrave it in your heart. Comfort is the enemy of greatness. If you believe this, write it in the comments. I choose greatness over comfort. There is a rhythm to fatigue that you must learn to respect. At first it frightens you. Your body aches, your mind clouds, your willpower trembles. But if you persist a little longer, something remarkable happens. The fatigue breaks like a wave, and you find yourself renewed. Ask any soldier, any marathoner, any relentless entrepreneur who has fought through the night. They will tell you of the second wind, the resurgence of energy that appears only after the first wall of exhaustion has been shattered. It does not arrive for the quitter. It reveals itself only to the stubborn, the disciplined, the unwavering. Delay is not denial. Tiredness is not defeat. Fatigue is the furnace in which victory is forged. Tonight, I give you a simple task. Take a notebook and write down the 3 areas of your life where you feel the most exhausted. Write down what weighs on your mind, what burdens your body, what drains your spirit. Then beneath each one, write the words, "This is proof I am closer to victory." By naming your fatigue as a friend instead of a foe, you transform the meaning of your struggle. No longer will you interpret tiredness as weakness. You will see it as the smoke rising from the forge of your future strength. This small action is not symbolic, it is transformative. Begin it tonight. Some of you listening may be carrying battles no one else can see. Perhaps you have been working for years with little recognition. Perhaps you are carrying responsibilities that crush your shoulders daily. Perhaps you are exhausted from failures that seem to repeat themselves. But I tell you this, the darker the night, the nearer the dawn. The heavier the burden, the stronger the back it is building. You are not finished, you are not defeated, you are simply being prepared. Remember, the law is always the same. Your reward is directly proportional to your endurance. And so I leave you with a declaration. Speak it aloud now and write it on your page until it becomes engraved upon your mind. I am not broken by fatigue. I am tempered by it. Every wave of exhaustion brings me closer to victory. If you believe it, say it once more with conviction, because your victory is not far. It is nearer than you think. And your tiredness is not proof of weakness. It is proof of progress. The reason most men and women never see their true potential is not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they surrendered at the moment when fatigue was screaming loudest. Imagine a miner who was dug for months, breaking stone, sweating, aching, only to stop his work when his arms can no longer lift the pick. And then, just inches beyond the wall he abandoned, lies the gold vein that would have changed his life forever. This is not a story, it is the reality of countless lives. People stop digging when they are tired, and they forfeit the treasure reserved for those who refuse to quit. Let this truth pierce your heart. Your greatest prize may sit just beyond the place where you want to give up most. The pain is the proof. The exhaustion is the indicator. The fatigue is the guardian standing in front of your victory, daring you to press forward. There is an enemy that hides within every person listening to me right now. It is the enemy of impatience. Impatience tells you that success should already be here. Impatience whispers that if it has taken this long, it is no longer worth it. Impatience convinces you that tiredness is evidence of futility instead of progress. And impatience, more than failure itself, destroys destinies. Think of the farmer who plants in spring and then rips up the soil in frustration because he is tired of waiting for the harvest. Think of the student who stops studying the night before the exam, weary and doubtful, unaware that one more hour of effort would have made the difference between mediocrity and mastery. The law is simple. If impatience rules you, fatigue will defeat you. But if patience rules you, fatigue will refine you. Let me tell you about a truth that few understand. Fatigue is not simply a physical sensation, it is a spiritual signal. It is the moment your old self is fighting against your new self. It is the battlefield where the weaker version of you, the one that seeks comfort, ease, and surrender, faces the stronger version of you, the one destined for greatness, discipline, and mastery. When you feel tired, recognize what is happening. A war is raging inside you, and you are being asked to decide who will win. If you stop, the weaker self prevails. If you persist, the stronger self is born. Every breakthrough in history, every innovation, every triumph was purchased at the cost of this inner war. The man who continues despite fatigue is the man who discovers who he really is. Consider the great explorers of history, Christopher Columbus sailing into uncharted seas, his men tired, restless, and mutinous, he himself exhausted, but unwilling to turn back. Had he yielded to fatigue, had he surrendered to the voices telling him to abandon course, the map of the world would look very different today. Or think of Helen Keller, deaf and blind, who faced not only physical fatigue, but the exhaustion of endless misunderstanding. She chose persistence. She pushed through the fatigue of discouragement, and her name is written in history as one who overcame impossible odds. These lives testify to one thing: fatigue is universal, but surrender is optional. The choice remains yours. Now let me give you a command for tonight. Write down the phrase, "Delay is not denial." Repeat it aloud as you write it. Delay is not denial. Say it again. Delay is not denial. Whenever you feel tired tomorrow, whenever you feel the weight of time pressing against you, remember that phrase. Delay means the process is working. Delay means the roots are deepening. Delay means you are drawing near to the finish line, not farther away. Those who misinterpret delay as denial quit early and gain nothing. Those who understand delay as preparation endure, and they win. But here's the second enemy you must watch for: comparison. Nothing drains energy faster than measuring your journey against another's. You may be tired because you are carrying your own unique burden, yet you judge yourself against those whose path required far less. This is a grave mistake. No two destinies weigh the same. Comparison is like watching another man's race while stumbling in your own. It distracts you, it frustrates you, it magnifies your fatigue. You must eliminate it. When you compare, you will always conclude that you are behind, that you are too late, that you have missed your chance, and those thoughts will multiply your exhaustion. But if you focus only on your lane, your steps, your progress, you will find strength even in your weariness. I want you to write this down and speak it aloud. My journey is mine. I will not compare. Say it again. My journey is mine. I will not compare. Burn this into your mind, because the world will try to convince you that you are running behind. But the truth is, there is no race except the one you were called to run. And if you keep moving, no matter how tired, you will arrive at your appointed victory. Now consider this paradox. Fatigue feels like an enemy, but in reality, it is your greatest ally. It reveals to you that you are on the path of growth. If you never felt tired, it would mean you are not exerting effort. If you never felt weary, it would mean you are standing still. Growth is not painless. Transformation is not effortless. Fatigue is the sign that you are stretching beyond your current self into the larger self that is waiting to be revealed. This is why the gym goer who feels the burn knows that muscle is forming. This is why the writer who wrestles with the blank page knows that words will eventually flow. Fatigue is feedback, and the wise do not fear feedback. They embrace it. And so I charge you with this truth tonight. Do not despise your exhaustion. Do not misinterpret your fatigue. Instead, embrace it as a signpost of destiny. Write this declaration. Say it aloud and make it the law of your life. I am stronger than impatience. I am free from comparison. Fatigue is my proof of progress. Let these words anchor you when everything else in you wants to collapse. Because if you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory. The body will always whisper surrender long before the spirit is truly finished. This is the law of human endurance. The mind plays tricks, convincing you that you have reached the end when in reality you are only brushing against the threshold of your deeper reserves. Picture a mountain climber gripping the last stretch of rock, fingers trembling, lungs burning, muscles screaming to release. In that moment, every signal of the body insists that it is time to stop. Yet the summit is not miles away, it is only a few feet higher, waiting for one more surge of courage. Most people collapse at the foot of their own summit because they confuse fatigue with finality. But you must learn this truth: fatigue is not the end, it is the beginning of discovery. When you press beyond it, you meet a self you have never known, a self born in fire, tempered in suffering, unstoppable in spirit. There is a law of success that few are willing to write down, though it governs every achievement you admire. The law is this: resistance intensifies as you approach breakthrough. Just as the storm grows fiercest before it clears, just as the night is darkest before dawn, so the pressure on your life will tighten most brutally at the edge of your triumph. This law has fooled countless men and women. They quit because they believe their rising pain is proof of failure, when in fact it is the unmistakable sign of impending victory. If you have ever wondered why life becomes most difficult when you are closest to change, now you know the answer. Resistance is the test, and those who endure it write their names in the book of victors. Write this in your notebook and speak it aloud. Resistance means I am near breakthrough. But let me confront another lie that is stealing destinies. You have been told that strength is measured by how easy the road feels, that the strong are those who glide with elegance and control. This is false. Strength is not proven by ease. Strength is proven by endurance. A boxer does not win because he never gets hit. He wins because he takes the blows, stays standing, and continues to fight when his opponent has surrendered. A soldier does not claim victory because the march was comfortable. He claims victory because he kept moving when his feet blistered, his back bled, and his body screamed rebellion. Do not measure your progress by comfort. Measure it by how many times you refused to stop when comfort begged you to. This is the truest sign of strength. Now consider the farmer's field. The soil looks barren, lifeless, and empty after the seed has been planted. Days pass, weeks pass, no sprout, no sign of progress. The farmer, if he is foolish, grows tired of waiting and plows it all up. But the wise farmer understands the hidden law of growth. Beneath the surface, roots are forming. The unseen work is being done. The soil is alive with quiet transformation. And then, when the time is right, the green shoots break through and the harvest follows. Your life is the same. You may be tired because you cannot yet see the fruit of your labor, but the unseen roots are forming. The hidden work is being accomplished. Fatigue is the price of unseen progress. Trust the process. Believe in the unseen. Say aloud, my roots are deepening even when I am tired. Here is a simple action that will give your fatigue meaning. Tonight, take 10 minutes in silence. Write down the 3 victories you are pursuing, the 3 goals that still burn in your heart. Then beneath each one, write the exact resistance you are facing, the doubts, the delays, the frustrations, and then write this phrase across the page: this is proof I am closer than ever. By naming the resistance and linking it to your nearness to victory, you will never again mistake fatigue for failure. You will recognize it for what it truly is, a signal that the summit is near. Think of the countless lives ruined by surrendering to this illusion. How many musicians quit just before their song was to be heard? How many entrepreneurs closed their doors weeks before the breakthrough deal? How many marriages collapsed not because of hatred, but because fatigue convinced two weary souls to stop one step short of renewal? Fatigue destroys destinies when it is misunderstood, but fatigue creates legends when it is redefined. That is why you must teach yourself day after day that exhaustion is evidence of progress, not proof of defeat. There is another inner enemy that joins fatigue to rob you of your future, and its name is doubt. Doubt says you are wasting your time. Doubt says you are not good enough. Doubt says your weariness means you are not cut out for this. Doubt partners with fatigue to strangle your dream. But here is the law. Doubt only survives when you listen. Silence doubt and it dies. Replace doubt with declaration and it disappears. Say it now, even if your voice shakes. I am built for this. I am greater than my doubt. My tiredness is the sign that I am growing. Consider the story of the pearl. A pearl is born from irritation. A grain of sand enters the oyster, causing endless discomfort, constant resistance, unceasing fatigue for the creature. Yet out of that irritation comes one of the most precious treasures on earth. Without irritation, there is no pearl. Without fatigue, there is no victory. If you are weary, then understand you are forming pearls. You are forging treasure. You are building wealth and wisdom through the very tiredness that tempts you to quit. This is the paradox of life's greatest victories. And so I leave you at this point with a declaration that must echo in your soul. Stand, write it down, and speak it aloud until it is engraved on your heart. Fatigue is the evidence of my progress. Resistance is the sign of my breakthrough. I am stronger than doubt, and I will not quit. Hold these words like weapons, for they will carry you through the darkest hours. Remember always, if you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory. The most dangerous moment in any journey is not the beginning, when enthusiasm is fresh, nor the end, when victory is in sight. It is the middle, the long stretch where progress feels invisible, the body aches, and the spirit wonders if it is worth it. This is the desert of fatigue. It is here that most abandon the path, convinced they have wandered too far without reward. Yet what they do not see is that the desert is the place of transformation. It is where the weak are burned away and the strong are revealed. If you are tired today, it is because you are in the desert, and that is the greatest sign of all, because the desert always comes just before the promised land. Fatigue has a way of distorting your vision. When you are weary, every step feels longer, every burden feels heavier, every obstacle feels larger. The mountain you are climbing appears taller than it really is. The race seems longer than it truly remains. Your perception is twisted by exhaustion, and you begin to believe the lie that the struggle will never end. But the truth is this: your perception under fatigue cannot be trusted. You must cling to principle when your feelings betray you. The principle is this: tiredness always disguises nearness. The harder it feels, the closer you are. The heavier the burden, the nearer the relief. This is not wishful thinking. It is the rhythm of life itself. Now I must expose another falsehood that robs people of their destiny. The culture whispers that if you are tired, you should slow down, ease off, retreat into comfort. This advice has seduced millions into mediocrity, because the man who listens to comfort never grows beyond it. Comfort tells you to sleep when you should stand. Comfort tells you to stop when you should surge. Comfort tells you that rest is the crown. But in truth, rest is only valuable once the crown has been earned. Write this in bold letters across your page: comfort is a trap. Do not trust its sweet voice. The path to mastery is paved in sweat, not softness. Think of the blacksmith at his forge. The metal does not take shape when it is cold. It is only when it is heated to the point of glowing, only when it is beaten again and again with the hammer, that the sword is formed. Fatigue is your furnace. Repetition is your hammer. You may feel bent and battered, but it is in this very state that your character is being shaped into steel. If you quit before the process is finished, you leave as scrap metal. If you endure until the shaping is complete, you leave as a weapon, strong, sharp, unbreakable. Fatigue is not your enemy. It is the fire that forges you. Tonight, I want you to do something that will anchor this truth deep in your mind. Take a blank sheet of paper. At the top, write the words, "Fatigue is my furnace." Beneath it, list 3 areas in your life where you feel most tested, most exhausted, most close to surrender. Then beside each one, write how this furnace is shaping you. Perhaps it is building patience. Perhaps it is teaching discipline. Perhaps it is strengthening your faith. By naming the gift hidden in your exhaustion, you transform your tiredness into purpose. This is how fatigue becomes fuel instead of poison. Let me remind you of a law that cannot be broken. You are rewarded in exact proportion to the difficulty of your journey. The greater the struggle, the greater the reward. The heavier the burden, the greater the strength that will come. The longer the night, the brighter the dawn. There is no escape from this law, and there is no exception. So when you feel tired, rejoice, because your reward is being measured by the weight of your present struggle. If the weight is heavy, the prize will be immense. If the night is long, the morning will be radiant. This is the divine balance of life, and it never fails. But let us address the enemy of self-pity, for it often rides alongside fatigue. Self-pity says, "Why me? Why is my road so hard? Why must I be the one to endure so much?" These questions are poison. They weaken the will. They transform fatigue into despair. You must replace self-pity with self-command. Instead of asking why you, ask what now? What can I learn? What strength can I gain? What virtue is being built in me through this fire? The man who shifts from pity to purpose cannot be broken, no matter how weary. Write this down and speak it. I trade self-pity for purpose. My fatigue has meaning. History is filled with men and women who walked through this furnace. Think of Winston Churchill, carrying the fatigue of a nation's survival on his shoulders during war. Think of Florence Nightingale, who pushed through endless exhaustion to save lives when others had collapsed. These were not comfortable people. They were forged by fatigue, and because they endured, their names stand eternal. You are no different. Your present tiredness may be the very furnace preparing you for a destiny far larger than you imagine. And so I leave you with a declaration that you must say aloud, write on paper and engrave in your soul. Fatigue is my furnace. I will not escape it. I will endure it, and I will be forged into steel. Let this be your law, your anchor, your unshakable creed. For if you are tired, you are not far from victory. You are standing in the very fire where victory is born. The weight you feel pressing on your shoulders today is not a curse. It is the signal that you are carrying something worth bearing. If the road were light and easy, it would not lead to greatness. If the burden required no effort, it would not be preparing you for victory. Tiredness, my friend, is the tax levied on destiny. It is the toll you must pay at the gates of every worthwhile achievement. And here is the law that must never leave your mind. The greater the fatigue, the greater the future. Say it aloud now, and write it in your notebook. The greater the fatigue, the greater the future. Engrave those words, because they will serve you when the night feels longest. There is a moment every warrior, every dreamer, every builder must face. It is the moment when the soul whispers surrender, when the body demands rest, when the mind offers 100 reasons to quit. It is here, in this crucible, that destiny is decided. For most, fatigue wins. They tell themselves they will resume tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. They lie down and their dreams die beside them. But the rare few, the ones you and I remember, they chose to push forward when every fiber cried for retreat. They took one more step. They lifted one more weight. They made one more call. They endured one more night. And that single act of endurance separated them from the masses forever. That is what makes the difference. Not genius, not luck, not ease, but endurance in the face of exhaustion. Do not believe the illusion that fatigue means you are broken. Fatigue means you are building. Think of the mason laying brick upon brick under the burning sun. His arms ache, his back tightens, sweat pours from his brow. To an outsider he looks crushed, but to the wise we see the truth. A cathedral is rising. Fatigue is not destruction, it is construction. The soreness of your muscles means they are growing stronger. The exhaustion of your mind means it is expanding in capacity. The weariness of your heart means it is being stretched for deeper love, deeper courage, deeper endurance. So when you are tired, declare to yourself, I am building something that will last. Now I want you to take action that will anchor this truth. Tonight, write down the area where you feel the most tired, the place where you are closest to quitting. Then ask yourself, what cathedral is being built here? What lasting strength is being carved from this fatigue? Perhaps your job is shaping your discipline. Perhaps your struggles with relationships are enlarging your patience. Perhaps your battles with health are sharpening your resilience. By answering this, you will discover that fatigue is not meaningless. It is sacred. It is the chisel in the hand of destiny, carving you into the man or woman you must become. But beware of the enemy that waits in this place. Its name is discouragement. Discouragement whispers that your efforts are wasted. It tells you that your tiredness is proof you are unfit, that your weakness is permanent, that your failure is inevitable. This is a lie. Discouragement feeds on fatigue the way a vulture feeds on the wounded. You must not allow it to perch on your shoulders. Instead, confront it with declaration. When discouragement tells you to stop, respond with words of steel. I will not stop. I am stronger than this. My fatigue is evidence of my future. Write it, say it, and repeat it until discouragement flees. History confirms this law. Think of Nelson Mandela, enduring 27 years in prison, weary of walls, weary of injustice, weary of waiting. Yet he did not surrender to fatigue. He endured. And when the gates finally opened, his victory was greater than he ever imagined. Or think of Mother Teresa, walking streets filled with suffering, body tired, spirit weary, yet persisting in service until her life became a beacon of compassion. These were not people free from exhaustion. They were people who turned exhaustion into greatness. Their names remind us that fatigue does not disqualify you from victory, it qualifies you for it. You must also recognize the rhythm of renewal hidden inside fatigue. The body may cry out in weariness, but the spirit can be renewed in a moment of decision. Decide that your tiredness will not break you, and suddenly strength flows. Decide that your weariness is only proof of progress, and instantly courage rises. Fatigue does not have the final word, your choice does. Say it aloud now. My choice is stronger than my fatigue. Let that sentence burn into your memory, because you will need it when the weight feels unbearable. And here is your task for tomorrow. The next time you feel tired, when you are tempted to quit, do not retreat. Instead, take one small action forward. Just one. If you are tired of studying, read one more page. If you are weary of working, finish one more task. If you are exhausted from fighting, breathe deeply and take one more step. That single act of defiance against fatigue is the seed of mastery. Repeat it daily and your entire life will change. You will become the kind of person who refuses to bow, who refuses to quit, who refuses to die before the victory is won. So I close this moment with a declaration. Write it, say it, and remember it when you are weary. The greater the fatigue, the greater the future. I am not crushed by my burden. I am built by it. Fatigue is the tax I pay for greatness. Speak these words until they become the rhythm of your soul, because if you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory. Fatigue is not a signal that you should abandon the path. It is the toll gate you must pass to enter the land of achievement. Every dream carries a price, and that price is always paid in tired muscles, weary minds, and aching spirits. If you are tired today, it is because you are carrying a vision worth carrying. If you feel weary, it is because you are lifting more than mediocrity ever demanded of you. Fatigue is the receipt that proves you have invested in something greater than comfort. The truth is simple, but few will write it down. The tired are the ones who rise, the weary are the ones who win, the exhausted are the ones who inherit the crown. If you are drained, rejoice, you are on the right path. But here is the trap that destroys more men and women than failure itself. It is the belief that being tired means you are behind. That exhaustion is proof that others are ahead of you, that your weariness is a sign that you cannot endure what others can. This is false. Comparison in moments of fatigue is poison. You may see another man smiling while you are sweating, another woman coasting while you are crawling, and you begin to imagine you are weaker. But strength is not measured by ease. It is measured by resistance. The man who runs downhill with a smile is not stronger than the man who climbs uphill with tears. You must remember this law. The greater the resistance, the greater the result. Write this now and speak it with force. The greater the resistance, the greater the result. Let us remember the parable of the bamboo. For years after planting, nothing appears above the surface. The farmer waters, tends, and waits, but sees no progress. Then after 5 years of hidden labor, the bamboo suddenly shoots upward, growing feet in days, towering above everything else in the field. During those hidden years, the bamboo was not dead. It was building roots deep enough to support the greatness to come. Fatigue works the same way in your life. You may see nothing yet. You may feel only the weight of endless effort, but beneath the surface, roots are forming. Character is being planted. Strength is being built. And when the time is right, the growth will be explosive. Do not misinterpret the waiting years. Do not mistake the tired years. They are your root years, and without them, you will never stand tall. Now here is your task for this very evening. Take your notebook, and at the top of a page write, "My root years are working." Then beneath it list 3 struggles you face today that drain you most. For each, write how this struggle is deepening your roots. Is it teaching you endurance? Is it forging patience? Is it demanding focus? By doing this, you turn what feels like wasted fatigue into visible progress. You remind yourself that nothing is wasted, that every weary step is carving a foundation for what is to come. This small act will give meaning to your exhaustion, and meaning is the fuel that makes endurance possible. Consider the lie that comfort is safety. Many fall for it. They retreat into ease when fatigue arrives, believing they are protecting themselves. But the opposite is true. Comfort kills slowly. It weakens the body, dulls the mind, and softens the will. Fatigue, on the other hand, strengthens. It tears the muscle so it can grow. It stretches the mind so it can expand. It presses the spirit so it can rise. Which will you choose, comfort that kills or fatigue that forges? This decision determines the course of your destiny. Speak it aloud. I choose fatigue that forges over comfort that kills. History again testifies. Think of Harriet Tubman leading slaves to freedom under threat of death, exhausted night after night, yet persisting. Think of Thomas Edison, weary after thousands of failed experiments, yet continuing until the light bulb was born. Think of every nameless laborer who built cities with tired hands, who planted fields with weary backs, who raised families with sleepless nights. Fatigue has always been the companion of greatness. To run from it is to run from your future. To embrace it is to embrace immortality. But beware of the inner enemy called fear. Fear magnifies fatigue. Fear tells you that you will not survive the weight, that you cannot outlast the burden, that you will collapse under the strain. This is not truth. It is illusion. Your body is stronger than you believe. Your mind is deeper than you imagine. Your spirit is limitless when aligned with purpose. Fear may scream at you, but fear has no power once you stop listening. Replace fear with faith, and fatigue becomes fuel. Say it aloud now. I am stronger than fear. I am greater than fatigue. I am built for this. And here is the law I want you to carry from this moment forward. Fatigue is not failure. Fatigue is feedback. It is the body and mind telling you that you are stretching beyond yesterday's limits. It is proof that you are not stagnant, proof that you are not wasting your days, proof that you are climbing higher than before. Every time you feel it, remind yourself of this truth. Write it down. Speak it. Live it. Fatigue is feedback. The man who runs from feedback never grows. The man who embraces it rises above all others. So let me leave you with a declaration to engrave in your mind and soul. Say it with me now and write it on paper so it cannot be forgotten. The greater the resistance, the greater the result. My root years are working. Fatigue is not failure. Fatigue is feedback. These words will guard you when you are weary and will remind you that if you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory. The greatest deception fatigue brings is the whisper that you are alone. It tells you that no one else has carried such a weight, that no one else has fought through such weariness, that your burden is uniquely impossible. This is a lie. Every man and woman who has ever accomplished something of worth has walked through the valley of exhaustion. The painter who stayed awake long after the candle burned out, the mother who worked 2 jobs and still came home to nurture her children, the soldier who marched through the night with no food, no sleep, only purpose. Fatigue is the common ground of greatness. You are not alone in it. You are joined by the entire brotherhood and sisterhood of achievers who refuse to bow before weariness. When you are tired, remember you are in the company of the strong. But let us face the danger that fatigue brings if misunderstood. For if you misinterpret your exhaustion, it will turn into bitterness, and bitterness corrodes the soul. Bitterness tells you that the work is unfair, that others had it easier, that life has betrayed you. Once bitterness takes root, it transforms fatigue from a stepping stone into a tombstone. You must uproot it immediately. The cure for bitterness is gratitude. Gratitude reframes your tiredness as evidence of privilege, that you have something worth fighting for, a dream worth bleeding for, a future worth enduring for. Tonight, when you feel weary, do not ask why me. Ask instead, thank God it is me. Thank God I have a vision that requires this weight. Gratitude transforms exhaustion into honor. Write this down. My fatigue is a privilege, not a punishment. There is another law that reveals itself only to the few who dare endure. It is the law of compounding effort. Just as money invested daily grows into unimaginable wealth, effort invested daily, even tired effort, compounds into unimaginable strength. 1 page read when weary multiplies into wisdom. 1 extra rep performed when sore multiplies into strength. 1 more step taken when tired multiplies into endurance. The small actions of persistence accumulate into unstoppable momentum. The quitter never experiences this law, for he drops his investment before it matures. But the endurer reaps the harvest of compounding fatigue. Speak this aloud and engrave it in your heart. Every tired step is an investment that multiplies. Consider the metaphor of the sculptor. He strikes the stone again and again, often with no visible change. The crowd grows bored, the onlookers doubt, even he himself grows weary of the endless blows. But then one day, after thousands of unseen strikes, the stone cracks and the masterpiece emerges. Was it the final strike that created the victory? No. It was the accumulation of every weary strike before it. Your fatigue is those strikes. You may not see the crack yet, but each action builds pressure inside the stone. One day it will break and the world will see what your tired hands have been forming all along. Now here is your exercise for today. Take a moment and write down the one area in your life where you have grown most discouraged by the lack of visible results. Then beneath it write this truth: my stone is about to break. Repeat it aloud. Each time you act in that area, even if tired, remind yourself that your strike is adding pressure. This small shift in perspective will give meaning to every weary action and remind you that fatigue is never wasted when paired with persistence. Do not underestimate the enemy called distraction, for it often joins fatigue to steal your focus. Distraction tells you that when you are tired, you deserve to drift, to scroll, to wander in meaningless activity. But distraction magnifies exhaustion. It drains the little energy you have left and leaves you weaker than before. Discipline, on the other hand, restores. Discipline directs even your tiredness into constructive action. One step forward with discipline replenishes the spirit more than 100 steps lost in distraction. Remember this: fatigue will not destroy you, but distraction will. Write it, speak it, believe it. Fatigue will not destroy me. Distraction will. History affirms this law again and again. The Wright brothers were exhausted men, mocked by the world, straining under the fatigue of endless failed experiments. Yet they persisted, each tired strike adding pressure to the stone, until at last the airplane lifted off. Rosa Parks, weary in body from a long day, chose defiance in her exhaustion, and history shifted on the axis of her fatigue. Again and again we see it: the weary hands of the persistent shape the future, while the rested hands of the distracted shape nothing at all. So I leave you now with a declaration of power. Write it, speak it, claim it until it shapes your soul. My fatigue is a privilege. Every tired step is an investment that multiplies. My stone is about to break. Fatigue will not destroy me. Distraction will not rule me. These are not just words, they are laws, and if you obey them, no weight, no weariness, no exhaustion will be able to keep. Victory does not belong to the comfortable. It does not belong to the rested, the idle, or the ones who stop when fatigue arrives. Victory belongs to those who walk through exhaustion and keep moving. Victory belongs to those who collapse at night only to rise in the morning and march again. Victory belongs to those who refuse to interpret tiredness as the end, but see it instead as the threshold of a new beginning. If you are tired, do not despise it, welcome it, because it means you are being tested, and every test is a doorway to triumph. Say this aloud, let it thunder from your spirit. If I am tired, I am being tested. If I am being tested, I am being prepared. The culture of our day worships speed and ease. It applauds those who achieve quickly and celebrates those who rise without resistance. Yet time proves such victories hollow. The man who succeeds without fatigue has built on sand. His foundation is weak, and his fall is inevitable. But the man who endures weariness, who pushes through storms, who carries the scars of fatigue, his success is built on rock. It is unshakable. It is eternal. Which would you rather build? A house of straw that collapses at the first wind, or a fortress of stone that stands for generations? The answer is clear. Fatigue is the stone. It is what makes your life unshakable. Now let us unmask the final enemy that fatigue often conceals: doubt in timing. Doubt tells you that because you are tired, you must have missed your chance, that your weariness is proof you are too late, that life has passed you by. This is false. You are not behind schedule. You are right on schedule. The weariness you feel is not a sign of lateness, but a sign of progress. Remember the marathon runner. At mile 20, he feels he cannot go on. His body is tired, his mind is weak, but mile 20 is not a sign he has failed. It is proof he has covered 20 miles. Your fatigue does not mark delay, it marks distance. Speak it aloud. My fatigue is proof of progress, not delay. There is a harvest law woven into the fabric of the universe. It declares that those who sow in tears will reap in joy, that those who labor in fatigue will gather in abundance. You may feel your back bent, your eyes dim, your spirit stretched thin, but every tear is watering the soil. Every weary step is planting seed. Every sigh of exhaustion is preparing a field. And one day, when the season turns, you will gather a harvest so great you will scarcely remember the pain. This is not fantasy, it is law. Write it down. My tiredness is planting a future harvest. Here is the final action I leave with you tonight. Take a page, and at the very top, write these words in bold letters. Fatigue is the gateway to my future. Beneath it, list the greatest goal you are pursuing. Then write every reason fatigue has tried to stop you from reaching it. For each reason, write the truth that defeats it. If fatigue says you are too weak, write, I have greater strength within. If fatigue says it is too late, write, I am right on time. If fatigue says the goal is impossible, write, all things are possible when I endure. This exercise will rewire your mind to see tiredness not as an obstacle, but as a key that unlocks your destiny. Think again of history's greats. Martin Luther King Jr., fatigued by endless marches, imprisonments and threats, yet refusing to stop until his dream ignited a nation. Marie Curie, weary in body, yet persisting in laboratories long after others had given up, leaving behind discoveries that shape modern science. These lives testify that exhaustion is not the end of greatness, but the very environment in which it is born. To be weary is to be near to the breakthrough that others never see. And so, here is the final declaration, the law you must carry from this message into the rest of your life. Write it down, speak it aloud, repeat it until it becomes your unshakable truth. Fatigue is my gateway. Fatigue is my proof. Fatigue is my privilege. I am stronger than comfort, stronger than fear, stronger than doubt. My tiredness is not the end. It is the beginning of victory. Let these words echo in your heart long after the sound of my voice has faded, because the truth will remain forever. If you are tired, you are closer than ever to victory.